Have you ever stopped to think about what makes the graphics in video games look so good these days?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy how realistic everything is.
Yeah, the level of detail is incredible. And you know what's really interesting is that the same technology that powers those crazy graphics is also driving these huge advancements in other fields.
Really?
Think AI, self-driving cars, even medical imaging.
So we're talking NVIDIA, right? I know them for graphics cards, but it sounds like they're involved in a lot more than just gaming.
Exactly, NVIDIA. They've become this tech powerhouse. Their reach goes way beyond gaming. We're talking data centers, healthcare, automotive, you name it.
So in this exploration, let's uncover how NVIDIA went from this niche player to a global leader. How they do it, what were their strategies, their big innovations, and were there any bumps along the way?
All great questions. NVIDIA's story is this fascinating mix of vision, risk-taking, and knowing how to adapt. And it all started with 3 founders back in 1993. Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowsky, and Curtis Priem.
Yeah, I read a little bit about them. Jensen Huang, he's the CEO now, right? This visionary leader. Saw the potential of computer graphics way before most people even knew what they were. And Chris Malachowsky, he had that background at HP and Sun Microsystems.
Yeah.
Master of chip design.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's Curtis Priem, also from Sun, a real pioneer in graphics accelerators.
A real dream team, it sounds like.
They were driven by this shared passion to totally revolutionize computer graphics.
And in many ways, they did.
Oh, for sure.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing from the start, was it? I remember hearing about their early product, the NV1. Didn't really take off, did it?
Yeah, the NV1, technologically, it was really advanced for its time. But, it wasn't compatible with the industry standards that were coming out, like Direct 3D.
So even brilliant minds can miss the mark sometimes. It shows that, understanding what the market actually needs is just as important as having the coolest tech.
Yeah, big time. And NVIDIA, they learned from that misstep. It was a turning point for them. They realized that it wasn't just about inventing great technology, but also about being a real partner, working within that broader tech world.
And then came 1999. The year everything changed for NVIDIA. The GeForce 256. They introduced the world to the first GPU. Gamers everywhere lost their minds.
Oh, the GeForce 256, for sure. It was a total game changer. Literally, it moved all that heavy graphics processing work from the CPU to this new dedicated unit, the GPU. Smoother gameplay, way more realistic visuals.
So instead of your computer's main processor trying to do everything at once, the GPU could just focus on the graphics.
Exactly. Freed up the CPU to do all its other tasks. It was a massive jump forward for gaming, for realism, for everything. And it really put NVIDIA on the map as a leader in the graphics card market.
But they didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
Then they came up with CUDA. Sounds pretty techy, even for a gadget geek like me. What is that all about?
CUDA, well, think of it this way. It's all about parallel processing. Imagine being able to do a ton of calculations all at the same time, instead of one after the other, the way computers usually do it.
Oh, so instead of slowly working through a task, you can just blast through it all at once.
You got it. CUD unlocked this crazy amount of computing power and opened up a whole new way to approach complex problems. But it wasn't an easy sell at first.
Really? Why not? Seems like a no-brainer.
Developers were just so used to the old ways of programming.
Sure.
So NVIDIA had to be strategic. They built partnerships, offered training, and really showcased what CUDA could do through real-world examples.
So kind of like their approach after the NV1, they didn't just throw the tech out there and hope for the best.
Exactly. They realized that building a community around their technology was key, and it paid off big time. Now, CUDA is used in a ton of fields, you name it. Scientific research, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency mining, even self-driving cars.
Wow, one innovation, so many possibilities.
It's incredible, isn't it? And they didn't stop innovating in the gaming world either. Their RTX GPUs with real-time ray tracing, that was another huge breakthrough.
Ray tracing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing those early demos of games with RTX. Totally mind-blowing. The reflections, the shadows, the lighting, it all looks so real.
RTX, it really did transform how games look, made them look more like movies. And it's still pushing the boundaries of what's possible in virtual worlds, especially in things like esports and VR, where how good it looks is everything.
It's like NVIDIA is blurring the lines between what's real and what's digital.
They're always looking ahead, trying to anticipate what's next. But gaming isn't the only thing they're focused on.
Right. I've been hearing more and more about NVIDIA making moves in other industries like healthcare. What are they doing there?
Their Clara platform is a perfect example. It uses the power of AI to make medical imaging better, which leads to faster and more accurate diagnoses.
Like, I read about the Mayo Clinic using Clara to cut down the time it takes to diagnose certain conditions. Pretty amazing how tech that started with making video games look cooler can now maybe even save lives.
It really shows how powerful cross-disciplinary innovation can be. NVIDIA's expertise in visual computing is being used to tackle some of the world's biggest challenges in healthcare and beyond.
That's amazing. But with all this talk of AI advancements, we can't ignore the potential impact on jobs, right? What about things like job displacement and all the worries that come with increased automation?
Those are definitely valid concerns. It's something we need to address head-on. NVIDIA's focus is on giving people the tools and skills they need to thrive in this new world of AI.
Their CEO, Jensen Huang, he seems to have a really practical view of AI.
Definitely.
It's not just about creating the most cutting-edge technology, but using it in a way that's responsible and ethical.
Yeah, he's talked about how important it is to solve real-world problems, not just chase some big futuristic AI dream. It's a very human-centered way of thinking.
Which is kind of refreshing, you know?
Yeah.
In a world that can feel obsessed with the newest tech gadget.
Absolutely. And speaking of doing things the right way, that leads us to another important part of NVIDIA's approach: sustainability.
Okay.
They're not just about advancing technology, they're also deeply committed to reducing their impact on the environment.
Right. I've heard about their goals for using renewable energy and recycled materials. What's the deal with that?
Well, for starters, they've set a goal to power all their operations using renewable energy by January 2025.
Wow.
It's a bold move that really shows how serious they are about fighting climate change.
And it's not just about their own operations, right? They're looking at the whole life cycle of their products, too.
You got it. Their aim is to use 50% recycled materials in their GPUs by 2030. They're working with partners to recover valuable materials from old electronics, so they don't have to rely so much on mining new stuff.
So it's a win-win. Less mining, less e-waste.
Exactly. A really smart and sustainable approach. They're also planting trees to offset their carbon footprint and help restore ecosystems.
So they're really thinking about sustainability from all angles. Renewable energy, responsible sourcing, recycling, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it shows that they really get how interconnected environmental issues are. Sustainability for them isn't just about doing less harm. It's about actively making the planet healthier.
It's great to see a company like NVIDIA setting such a high standard for sustainability in the tech world.
Absolutely. It sets a great example for other companies and shows that you can be innovative and environmentally responsible at the same time. Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
the world of tech is global,
Yeah.
and it can be tricky to navigate. Trade wars, export restrictions, all sorts of challenges lately. How has NVIDIA managed to deal with all that?
It's a good question. It seems like they've done really well.
They have, through strategic diversification, really understanding the global market. They've teamed up with companies in different regions like China and Europe to manage those geopolitical risks and tap into local expertise.
Smart move. Not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're building a truly global presence, which seems crucial these days.
It lets them adapt to change and keep growing, even when things are tough. But it also takes a lot of understanding. Different cultures, regulations, how each market works.
Sounds like NVIDIA has been really successful at building bridges and partnerships all over the world.
For sure. But the big question is, what's next?
Right. They've already achieved so much. Where do they go from here?
Well, they've got some pretty ambitious goals.
Like what?
Venturing into things like quantum computing and smart cities, stuff that could completely change the world as we know it.
Whoa, now we're
Right.
talking science fiction, quantum computing, smart cities. Sounds like we're stepping into a whole new level of tech possibilities.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting to think about the impact these technologies could have.
I can't wait to hear more about these ambitious plans. But before we jump into that, let's take a minute to think about everything we've covered so far.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's journey is pretty remarkable, right?
Oh, absolutely. From changing the gaming world to making healthcare better and taking on climate change.
Yeah.
They've had a huge impact on our lives. And it all started with 3 guys in a garage who just loved computer graphics.
Amazing. It shows what human ingenuity can achieve.
Yeah.
The power of technology to change the world.
And as NVIDIA keeps pushing those limits, who knows what amazing innovations they'll come up with next.
I'm excited to find out. We have a lot more to uncover, so stay tuned as we keep exploring NVIDIA, this technological powerhouse.
It's going to be fascinating. We'll be looking at the ethical side of AI, how to handle that complex geopolitical landscape, and the potential of quantum computing to solve some of humanity's toughest problems. It's going to be a wild ride.
I'm ready. We've just scratched the surface of NVIDIA's story. There's so much more to explore. So stick with us as we dive deeper into the world of this tech giant. So, okay, you mentioned quantum computing and smart cities as part of NVIDIA's future plans. Those sound like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Can we, unpack those a bit?
For sure. Let's start with quantum computing. It's like a totally different way of processing information compared to the computers we use today. It uses quantum mechanics to solve problems that even the most powerful computers can't handle.
So instead of just ones and zeros, it uses some kind of quantum wizardry to crunch numbers. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
You're getting it. Quantum computers use qubits, which can be not just 0 or 1, but both at the same time.
Whoa.
This lets them do multiple calculations at once, which makes them super fast for certain types of problems.
Okay, I'm getting a bit of a headache just thinking about it, but I'm intrigued. Give me an example of a problem that only a quantum computer could solve.
Imagine designing a new drug at the molecular level. There are like a zillion possible combinations of atoms and molecules, and simulating all of them on a regular computer would take forever, like billions of years.
So it's like trying to find a needle in a cosmic haystack.
Exactly. But a quantum computer, with its ability to explore multiple paths at once, could potentially solve that in a fraction of the time.
Mind-blowing. So we're talking about revolutionizing fields like medicine, material science, all sorts of things.
The possibilities are endless. Quantum computers could also break complex codes, optimize financial models, even simulate the early universe.
Wow. So is NVIDIA building these quantum computers then?
Not exactly. They're taking a different approach. They're focused on connecting quantum computers with the computing systems we already have.
So they're not building the spaceship, they're building the launch pad.
Perfect analogy. They're developing the software and hardware so that quantum computers can work with regular computers. It's a crucial step to make quantum computing more accessible and practical for everyone.
So it's like they're creating the translator for quantum computing. So researchers and developers can use its power without needing a PhD in physics, right?
Exactly. They know quantum computing is still in its early stages, but they're setting the stage for it to become widely used.
It's incredible, really. They're not just focused on today, they're already looking ahead to the next big shift in computing.
That's NVIDIA, always pushing the boundaries. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about smart cities, another area where they're playing a big role.
Yeah, smart cities. You mentioned them earlier. What does that even mean? Is it just a city with really good Wi-Fi?
It's way more than that. Think about cities that use tech to optimize everything. Traffic flow, energy use, public safety, emergency response. It's about using data and AI to make urban environments more efficient, sustainable, and resilient.
So the city becomes like a giant interconnected organism with sensors and AI working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly.
That's a great way to put it. Imagine sensors all over the city, gathering info on traffic patterns, air quality, energy use, you name it. And then that data goes into AI systems that can spot patterns, make predictions, even take action to optimize how the city works.
So the city isn't just reacting to problems, it can anticipate them and prevent them from happening in the first place.
Precisely. Think about it. Sensors could detect rising water levels in a river and automatically adjust flood barriers to protect certain areas. Or traffic lights could change their timing based on real-time traffic conditions, so there's less congestion.
That sounds amazing. But I also can't help but think about, privacy. If the city's collecting data on everything, couldn't that be misused?
You're right to bring that up. Privacy and data security are hugely important when we talk about smart cities. We need strong safeguards to ensure that data is used responsibly and ethically, with clear rules about how it's collected, stored, and used.
So it's about finding the right balance between using data to make things better and protecting people's privacy.
Exactly. Transparency and public engagement are key. People need to know how their data is being used and have a say in how these smart city initiatives are developed.
It sounds like smart cities offer a lot of exciting opportunities, but also come with some complex challenges.
You hit the nail on the head, and NVIDIA is right there in the thick of it, working on the tech solutions, but also thinking about the ethical and social implications of these advancements.
It's impressive that they're always thinking about the big picture, how their work will impact people's lives and shape the world in the long run.
They're not just a tech company, they're a company that wants to solve some of humanity's biggest problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's developing life-saving medical technology, fighting climate change, or building a more equitable and sustainable world, NVIDIA is making a difference.
Their story is really inspiring. It makes me even more curious about what they'll achieve in the years to come. But I wonder, with all this talk about quantum computing, smart cities, and all this futuristic stuff, are we overlooking what's happening right now? Are we getting too caught up in the future and forgetting about the challenges we face today?
That's a great question. We have to remember that the future is built on the present. What we do today will determine what the world looks like tomorrow. And while it's important to have a vision for the future, we can't ignore the urgent issues that need our attention now.
Like climate change, social inequality, and the fight for a fairer world.
Exactly. These are challenges that require us to act now. And technology, when used responsibly and ethically, can be a powerful tool to address these problems.
So it's not about choosing between the present and the future. It's about recognizing they're interconnected. The choices we make today will create the future we'll live in.
That's such an important point, and it's what makes exploring NVIDIA so interesting. It's not just about technology, it's about the people behind it.
Right.
Their hopes, their struggles, the choices that shape our world.
It's about the incredible things humans can do and how technology can be a force for good. And as NVIDIA keeps pushing the limits of what's possible, it'll be fascinating to see how they use their influence to make the world a better place for all of us.
I agree. And that brings us to our next topic, NVIDIA's dedication to sustainability and their efforts to make sure AI is developed and used ethically. We'll dive into those right after this.
We've talked a lot about NVIDIA's technology and their vision for the future, but it's clear that they really care about sustainability and ethical practices too.
Yeah, it's nice to see a company that's leading the way in innovation, but also taking those things seriously.
So let's start with sustainability. We talked about their goals earlier, but what are they actually doing to reduce their environmental impact?
Well, their commitment to using 100% renewable energy for everything they do by January 2025 is a big one.
That's a massive change. What does that actually involve?
It means powering their offices, data centers, manufacturing facilities, everything with energy from sources like solar, wind, and hydro.
Wow, so they're completely changing how they power their whole business.
Yeah, it's a bold move that shows they're serious about fighting climate change.
But it's not just renewable energy, right? They're also planning to use recycled materials in their products.
That's right. They want to use 50% recycled materials in their GPUs by 2030.
That sounds really challenging. How are they going to pull that off?
They're working with companies that specialize in e-waste recycling to recover valuable materials from old electronics.
So they're not only reducing their reliance on mining, they're also helping to solve the e-waste problem.
Exactly. It's a really smart approach. And they're also planting trees to offset their carbon footprint and help restore ecosystems.
So they're tackling sustainability from all angles: renewable energy, responsible sourcing, recycling, you name it.
It's a comprehensive strategy.
Yeah.
It shows they really understand how environmental issues are all connected. Sustainability for them isn't just about reducing harm, it's about actively making the planet healthier.
It's really inspiring to see a company like NVIDIA setting such a high standard for sustainability in the tech world.
For sure. It sets a good example for other companies and shows that you can be innovative and environmentally responsible at the same time.
Okay, so now let's talk about AI ethics, another area where NVIDIA is taking a leading role. What are some of the biggest ethical concerns when it comes to developing and using AI?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is bias. AI systems are trained on these huge data sets, and if those data sets reflect existing societal biases, the AI system will just continue those biases.
So like if an AI system is used for hiring, it could unfairly discriminate against certain groups of people if it's trained on biased data.
That's right. We need to make sure that the data used to train AI is diverse and representative.
Okay, but how do you even start to address something as complex as societal bias in an AI system?
It's complicated. It takes a multi-pronged approach. First, you need to be really careful about the data you use to train the AI, making sure it's as unbiased as possible. And then you need to develop algorithms that can detect and reduce bias.
So it's a mix of data science and ethical awareness.
Exactly. And it also requires constant monitoring and evaluation to make sure the AI is behaving fairly and ethically.
So what is NVIDIA specifically doing to address this issue of bias in AI?
They've created an AI ethics council with experts from different fields to advise them on how to develop and use AI responsibly.
So they're bringing in outside perspectives to help them navigate these tricky ethical challenges.
Yeah. They're also investing in research to develop tools and techniques to detect and reduce bias in AI systems.
It's encouraging to see a company like NVIDIA being so proactive about AI ethics. It's not just about building the coolest tech, it's about building it the right way.
And that fits perfectly with their CEO, Jensen Huang's philosophy. He always talks about how important it is to use AI to solve real-world problems and not just chase after some big, abstract vision of AI.
It's a down-to-earth approach that sees the potential of AI, but also understands that we need to be careful and ethical.
And I think that's really reassuring.
Yeah.
It shows that they're not just driven by wanting to be the best in tech. They also feel responsible for how their work affects the world.
So as we wrap up our exploration of NVIDIA, what are your main takeaways? What stands out to you most about their story?
I think it's their dedication to innovation, combined with their strong sense of responsibility. They're pushing the limits of what's possible with technology, while also addressing important issues like sustainability and AI ethics.
Like they're saying, we can do amazing things with technology, but we need to do them in a way that's thoughtful and ethical.
Exactly. They're not just building the future of technology, they're building a future that we can all feel good about.
It's a powerful message, and I think a lot of people are thinking about this right now. We're all becoming more aware of how technology affects our lives and the planet.
And companies like NVIDIA are leading the charge, showing that it's possible to be both innovative and responsible.
So, for everyone listening, what's the most important thing to take away from this look at NVIDIA?
I'd say it's this. Technology is about people.
Yeah.
It's not just gadgets and gizmos. It's about the choices we make, the values we have, and the kind of future we want.
We all have a responsibility to use these powerful tools wisely and make sure they benefit everyone.
Absolutely. And that means staying informed, having these conversations, and holding ourselves and the people who create these technologies accountable.
It's a call to action for all of us to be involved in shaping the future of technology.
And to remember that the future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we build together.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of NVIDIA. It's been a fascinating journey, and I'm excited to see what they do next. Until next time.